Your thumb moves before you decide. One more swipe, then the joke that should have landed just lies there, bright and flat. The clock says you meant to sleep 20 minutes ago. The feed keeps offering doors, none of them worth entering, and somehow your hand still opens the next one. A big part of the answer is that fun is not the only thing keeping the motion alive. The strange part is not that you wanted a break. It is that the break can sour, become boring, even feel slightly hollow while the behavior keeps running. To understand that, we have to separate three things that blur together on a screen: wanting relief, noticing reward, and having a stopping point. The easy answer is the slot machine story. You open a video app for one cooking clip, and every few swipes, a perfect little prize appears, a recipe, a rant, a message from someone you miss. That explanation feels right, because the feed really does mix dull material with occasional hits, but it misses a sharper detail. If reward were the whole engine, the scroll should weaken when the prizes stop landing. Instead, the weakest moments can be the stickiest ones. When scrolling is new, the reward matters. A funny clip, a useful tip, a comment you wanted to see. Those hits teach your brain a simple route from discomfort to possible relief. Later, the route can run on less evidence. The cue becomes enough. Phone in hand, quiet room, a half second of boredom, thumb moves. Anderson and Wood tested social media habits by looking at large posting datasets in a Facebook design change. People with weaker habits reacted more to positive feedback. People with stronger habits kept posting with less sensitivity to whether the latest reward was good. Scrolling is not the same as posting, but the lesson fits the pattern. Rewards can train a behavior that later becomes more automatic. Imagine a hallway light on a timer. At first, you flip the switch because the room is dark. After a while, your hand reaches for it even when daylight is coming through the window. The action has borrowed the purpose from an earlier moment, and now it is running ahead of your judgment. That loop shows up when people try to escape boredom by moving faster. In a 2024 video switching experiment, Tam and Inslicht let people switch between videos or skip around inside them. Boredom made people switch, and people expected switching to help. But when switching was allowed, they felt more bored, less satisfied, less attentive, and found the media less meaningful. The search for a better next thing made the current thing harder to enjoy. A separate 2-week phone study asked Android users to label sample screenshots and judge whether the time felt well spent. Positive ratings fell from about 2 and 5 near the start of a session to about 1 and 5 after 40 minutes. The important twist is that longer use did not become pure misery. It often became neutral, which is exactly the fog where a habit can keep going. This matters because the exit is often not inside the feed. In a 1-week infinite scrolling study, Rickson and colleagues tracked real social media sessions and asked people why they stopped. Pure scrolling sessions felt worse afterward than other sessions, and many endings came from outside the app: a task, a person, a device interruption, hunger, tiredness. So the feed can quietly outsource self-control to the world around it. That changes ordinary choices. You are late because the calendar, not the feed, finally wins. A conversation thins out because the other person has to pull you back, even if you are not enjoying the screen more than them. Work gets chopped into ragged edges, not because each swipe is irresistible, but because each swipe is too small to feel like the moment to stop. The cost arrives in pieces, and pieces are easy to wave through. The biggest boundary is awareness. If scrolling is serving a clear purpose, or something makes you notice what you are doing, the same motion changes. In a 4-week custom Twitter study, Ball and colleagues tested features like reading history labels, custom lists, usage stats, and 20-minute dialogues. People reported moments of drifting without attention, but the labels and lists were linked with less dissociation. Some also said absorption could be a useful break. So the problem is not screen time in the abstract. It is losing the thread between this swipe and the reason you picked up the phone. Put the thread back in view, and the automatic loop has more to answer to. So the answer is not that the feed is still fun. You keep scrolling because boredom starts a search. Occasional rewards train the route. Habit lets the route run with weaker rewards, and infinite design removes many natural endings. The evidence is strongest for these pieces, not for a single universal formula that predicts every person or every app. A useful test is simple. When the next swipe feels less like a choice than a continuation, enjoyment has probably stopped being the driver. The next time the screen goes bright and flat, notice the tiny gap before your thumb moves again. That gap is not a moral test. It is the old root becoming visible. For a second, the door is just a door, and you can leave it closed. Alright, and that was today's curiosity from Hidden Axiom. We hope you enjoyed it, and if this video answered your question, leave a like, share your next question in the comments, and subscribe to keep discovering. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay curious.